Hello, lovelies. Sorry there's no news show today, but I've got my DWP phone interview today and I haven't slept right in a week or so because of worry over that, so I'm just not really up to it. But there's stuff that's happened that needs an update, I guess. The Mercedes Carrera situation. And Monday has started out with a bunch of drama around Zak Smith, who's well known in the gaming community. Artist, former porn star, bloke this time though. Done work for Lamentations of the Flame Princess that's been really good. It's an interesting auteur in the RPG space, but he's been accused of sexual assault and being abusive in a relationship and that sort of thing. And then I want to try and loosely tie it together because you know how I like to talk about the things behind the things, the kind of second or third layer of stuff that's going on. So the Mercedes Carrera situation, quick recap. Her and her husband were arrested. Police or sheriffs or whoever else went into their house following up on allegations of sexual misconduct with a minor 10-year-old girl, presumably Mercedes' daughter from a previous marriage. Now once that information came out about it being a daughter from a previous marriage, my spidey sense did begin to tingle somewhat, because these kind of accusations can turn up in cases where custody is contested. Now, Mercedes isn't allowed out on bail due to the seriousness of the allegations and other aspects, and she's going to lose custody because of the meth and guns that were found, if nothing else. But the sexual allegations are much more serious, and that's why they're not being granted bail. But she has managed to get a statement out through a phone call with someone, and that is to the effect that this is down to a custody thing, that her ex-husband is or has become militantly evangelical Christian, and this is some sort of setup in order to get custody. This isn't as unlikely as you might think, and there is a lot of bias and prejudice against people who've worked in porn. It's frankly remarkable that she had custody in the first place, given that situation. So it does call things into doubt, and it does make how eager and ready a lot of people who were, if anything, former allies of hers, how quickly they were ready to throw her under the bus is kind of telling. You know, you saw the kind of far-right versions of the far-left criticisms. So where one side calls you problematic, the other side calls you degenerate, and so on, and claiming that, oh, well, little surprise, she should be a kiddie diddler or whatever else because she works in porn. That's not how it works. I will stand by my assessment that most of the people that I know that work in or have worked in porn are great, no bullshit people, and they're worth defending. But it's just, we still don't know. All we've got is an accusation and a counter-accusation, and at this kind of distance, none of us know any of the details. We don't know whether she's telling the truth, we don't know whether the child is telling the truth, we don't know what evidence there actually was, and so on. But I think some credibility is lent to Mercedes' statement by the kind of salacious way in which it has been reported on and the details and so on. Oh, she had a room set up for making pornographic videos in her house. She's a porn star, and webcamming and so on is big. So why is this a surprise, and why is it necessarily bad? I don't know. But we should reserve judgment either way until the facts of the case shake out. And that brings me to Zack Sabbath. So Zak is a kind of artistic auteur in the RPG space and the art space and various other things that he does. He's made some very unusual, weird, kind of boundary-breaking, yet at the same time old-school RPG material. And he's quite a controversial figure. His involvement in pornography, obviously. He ran the D&D with Porn Stars blog / podcast thing back in the day, which kind of helped make D&D cool again, I guess. Alumni of his group have gone on to do great things. Satine Phoenix, who I think of as a friend, she came out of that and is now like a community manager / whatever for Wizards of the Coast, and does these big popular streams and things as well. And so she came out of this same kind of crucible and situation and subculture and group, and she's done really well for herself. Zak's done pretty well for himself as well. I have a lot of sympathy for Zak, because in a lot of ways he's a lot like me. If you say something wrong or nasty or horrible about him, he's like a dog with a bone. He won't let it go, and he's also very protective of his friends. The women who were part of this D&D with Porn Stars group were often getting slagged off, often by progressives, actually, for being problematic or stupid or whatever else, which was unfair and nasty and quite justifiably pissed him off, I think. But his unwillingness to give ground on this kind of thing gave him a reputation similar to mine for being somewhat of a rhetorical brawler and so on. So I always had a lot of respect for him. Even after he blocked me and stopped talking to me, which I guess is in my favour now. But anyway, he's been accused of being abusive with the girl Mandy Morbid he was in a relationship with for a very long time, and other women kind of peripheral to that, treating them in shitty ways. Even sexual assault and things have been brought up. Some of what's said rings true to my experience of the man. He's described as being manipulative, and the reason he stopped talking to me was because it was impolitic to keep talking to me. But I still always had a lot of time for him because, despite of that or whatever, he'd always, defended my name against some of the wilder accusations and so on. So I'm saying, I'm biased, basically, in both these cases, because I like the people being accused, or used to. But he's been accused of heinous things, and of course all the usual people are crawling out of the woodwork going, aha, see, he's this evil, terrible person like we said all along. And on the other side you've got people coming out calling him a degenerate again, all that kind of stuff. Again, we don't know. I'm less inclined to be forgiving or to believe Zak than I am Mercedes. But in both these cases, we just don't know. And I think that's the most important thing. The principle of innocent until proven guilty is really important. You shouldn't just believe women because they're women. You shouldn't disbelieve men because they're men. We have to, even in our personal lives, I think, take precautions, but wait and see until things shake out. Zak's incidents are unlikely to make their way to court, so they're unlikely to ever be resolved in any way, but because he is a difficult, combative personality, I'm sure plenty of people who do have business or personal relationships with him at this point will use this as the excuse to drop them because he's more trouble than he's worth. Which is sad. But the truth is, we just don't know. And we've already got people coming out of the woodwork saying, believe women, believe these accusations, believe minority or marginalized groups or whatever. No, treat everyone the same. Treat everyone as individuals of equal value, equal worth, and weigh and measure the evidence. So on neither of these cases can I make any sort of judgment. Some of the things about Zach I can believe. I'm inclined to believe. I always did like Mandy and her friends, even though I wasn't feminist enough for them. So, you know, I want to believe that they're telling the truth, but I just don't know. How can I? And the same with Mercedes. The only tests that we really have are legal ones, courtly ones, tests of evidence. He said, she said, just ain't gonna cut it. He's probably a dick, but I can be a dick too, usually for good reasons. But we just don't know. I know it doesn't make for a good video, but when we don't know, we should probably just wait and see. Zang.